Is civil war about to break out? The clash of the titans, the two big fighting forces in internet, YouTube comic book selling. No, no, it isn't. No, it really isn't. It really isn't. You wouldn't know that though from some people out there on Twitter, malcontents, may I say. Yeah, look, guys, there's lots of ways of doing this, lots of ways of operating in this space. Everyone's learning. What works for some might not work for others, and vice versa. What do they say? Different strokes, different folks. What am I talking about? Well, if anyone is aware of what's happening here in selling comic books on YouTube, there's a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a rift. It's a difference of opinion. A difference of opinion in how we should be going ahead. Let me bring this up right here. This is Comicsgate purveyor and spreader of misinformation. Comicsgate posting their L's. The comic is just a bonus. Customer movement of Comicsgate turned into an investor movement real fast. I can't believe I missed this stuff. Let me read this tweet here from Ethan Van Sciver. It says, Comicsgate is meant to raise the money to be able to make a project. It's literally, I'm a creative person that doesn't have the resources to make this. Can I ask you to become producers and give me the funds to make this work a reality? The comic is meant to be a bonus. Ethan is technically correct here. And it's funny to see everyone going around Twitter making a big huff about this. Sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo have been clear on this from the very beginning. When you back a crowdfund, you are not shopping. You are not on Amazon. You are not buying directly from a web store. There's an inherent risk that comes along with crowdfunding. The risk that if the campaign does not fund, you probably won't receive a perk. You might, but you may not as well. Now, not written in this tweet because unbeknownst to some people, single tweets are not the be all and end all, the all encompassing knowledge of one person's belief system, one person's worldview. Usually just specific about one specific thing. You only get a certain amount of characters in it. Yeah. If your campaign doesn't fund, almost always these sites will offer you a refund. And I think Indiegogo has like a flexible goal thing. I don't recommend anyone do that because I think then you have to deal with refunds yourself. I don't really know how that works anyway. But yeah, the point stands. If the campaign doesn't fund, backers should get a refund. And of course, I mean, you'd think this should go without saying, but if it does fulfill, if it does fund, and the creator doesn't fulfill, I mean, that's that's career suicide for that crowdfunder. You get one shot at that. If you run away with people's money and never give them anything, you're done. I don't think you can come back from that at all. But yeah, like I said, people on Twitter, they'll read a single statement and they'll make far-reaching inferences. The fact of the matter is, Ethan Van Sciver is right on this. When you come into a crowdfund, you are taking a risk, and if that risk pays off and you get what you were hoping to get, fantastic, right? Now, why would anyone go in on that then? Well, because they want to invest in the creation. They want to see this thing come to fruition. That's sort of the brilliance of crowdfunding. Lots of people, hopefully, giving small amounts as opposed to relying on a single massive investment from a publishing company. Now, obviously, the downside to this is, it's really difficult to convince people to take that risk on you, make that investment. especially if you haven't, built up a name, or you don't have a reputation or anything like that. And as well, in comic books, especially, these things take a long time to make. So yeah, we've seen people who either aren't used to, or just plain out don't want to wait long periods of time for books to arrive. And yeah, they can get really burnt out on that. They can get really angry. We see angry videos, we see angry posts. Yeah, like that's the sort of downside to all this. Now, obviously, the biggest downside is if you invest in someone and they just run off with your money. That's, like I said, there's risk involved in this. If you are of the mind that you don't want to take that risk, I would suggest you hold back. Don't invest in the crowd funds, and wait until the crowdfund is completed. Usually most of these creators will overprint, and then you can just buy it. Then they'll open a website, an eBay or whatever. We've got CG Now. All the books available on CG Now are there. They exist. You go, you buy them, they'll get shipped out straight away. So yeah, that's the situation as it is. Now, the alternative to this, as a sort of working answer to the whole, waiting a long time for books and having to ask backers to make the investment, to take on that risk, is is sort of becoming known as crowd selling instead of crowdfunding. It's where the book is completed beforehand, before the campaign even starts, and it's essentially taking pre-orders, and the crowdfund, the money raised, pays for the printing of the book. And obviously, if enough money is raised, then whoever made that initial investment, whether there's the creator or the whatever, they get to pay artists or whatever with that money. So obviously the clear benefit of that is these comics can come out quicker after the campaign ends, and you circumnavigate that the risk of a crowdfund. The book exists, it's there. It's gonna happen as long as the thing funds and they can get enough money to print. It's gonna happen. So yeah, that's a sort of a developing answer to some of the issues that come up around crowdfunding. Now, obviously, you're probably seeing this already. The major downside to this is it locks out the very people crowdfunding was invented to cater for. People who don't have tens of thousands of dollars, and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars is necessary. If you're talking not just comic book crowdfunding, but other sorts of crowdfunds, millions even. Making comics is very expensive for your average Joe. I've got a comic I'm making on the side. It's called Fractured Mind. I am paying an artist right now, the great Rod Looper. It's going to cost me, it's only 32 pages. If I end up getting a colorist or working with a colorist or something, and letters and editing and everything, it's probably going to cost me all in all about $10,000 to produce this 32-page essentially side comic. So you understand why crowd selling just straight up might not be an option for a lot of people out there who have a hope and a dream and want to make comics and want to come into this. But if I do it that way, if I go into the crowd selling side of things, I'm the one now who's taking the gamble. I'm the one who's taking on all the risk and taking that off the backers. And yeah, that's a privilege that I have, because I have members on a YouTube channel that are paying for that right now. Please do become a member. But yeah, with crowd selling like this, like, I'm back to being that guy making the single publisher investment, instead of spreading that risk out across a lot of backers. Like, that was the whole power of crowdfunding in the first place. Now, Eric July has taken this idea of crowd selling and even a step further. And he's being clear. He says, to clear up some of the confusion around the nature of this campaign, this is not a crowdfund. The project was already funded before we launched it. We can start shipping next month, because most of the items are already here. That's taking it a whole nother step further beyond what, you know, pretty much anyone else is doing with crowd selling, in that the books were already printed, ready to go, and he's got all the posters there and everything as well. So it's just essentially taking pre-orders. So why even have this sort of a camp? Why call it a campaign? Why do all that? Well, because for transparency, you know, he can show exactly how many backers he's getting and how much money is being raised. And also the whole gamification side of crowdfunding is a massive driver of sales. It's like it creates buzz, it creates excitement. People love to see it. People want to back a winner. It also creates bragging rights, which is huge for a guy like Eric July and his channel. You know, he really has just put his cards on the table and shown everyone who doubted him what he really means and what he stands for and everything like that. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of reasons to do a quasi, like a crowdfunding-esque thing on your site. I thoroughly encourage that, as opposed to just putting it up on Amazon or whatever and, you know, selling it as a traditional web store. But look, which one of these is better? Which one of these should we go with? The answer is neither's better. And we shouldn't push each other to take a either or stance, I think. I think they both have their pros and cons, and we should keep our options open. Each creator needs to decide for themselves what's best for their situation. Personally, for me, uh, I work full time. I can never know how long exactly it's going to take me to finish projects. I've never been able to do it because I don't have a set number of days every day that I can sit down and devote to what I'm doing. So last time, you know, I had an estimated delivery date. It got blown out by about, I don't know, 6 months or so. I would like to avoid that in the future. So I'm probably more leaning towards a little bit of the crowd selling side of it. And again, that's the privilege that I have, being that I'm the artist and I have this YouTube channel that helps pay another artist to work on my book. Not everyone is in that same boat, but yeah, look, whether it's investing in the creation of something, in the creator themselves, or whether you're just the kind of guy who's like, I don't care about any of that, I just want the book. I think we should have the option out there for everyone. Spread the love, spread the wealth, don't hate, create. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and consider becoming a member. You are helping to make awesome comic books right here, right now. That's it for me. I will see you later.